Did you know that nearly 80% of women experience hormonal imbalances or chronic fatigue at some point in their lives? And if you're watching this, chances are you're one of them or you know someone who is. Now, here's the thing, I'm a man obviously, and so what do I know about, female wellness and hormonal imbalances? Well, throughout our biohacking and homesteading journey, my wife Kathy and I have discovered that we respond completely differently to food, stress, and even supplements. Why is that? Well, because biologically, hormonally, and metabolically, men and women are entirely different animals, and that's why it's critical to tailor your diet, your exercise regimen, your exposure to hormetic stressors, and your supplementation specifically to support, your physiology. And especially considering, the unique health concerns that women face, I decided I'm going to record an episode to talk specifically about reproductive health, about hormonal imbalance or balances, and some of the things that women can do to improve their overall wellness and resilience. And one of a few of the issues that I come across a lot because customers reach out to me or, women reach out to me is, they suffer from, chronic fatigue, hormonal imbalances, low iron levels, anemia, reproductive health issues, either failing to conceive or trying to conceive and it takes forever, or, something is not quite right with the baby once once it's in the belly. And those are all common problems these days that you hear more and more of. And if you've struggled with any of these, rest assured you're not alone, but that doesn't necessarily mean it has to be that way. And so one of the easiest to fix issues usually is fatigue and low energy levels, and I get it, if you struggle or if you juggle family responsibilities, careers, and, the countless daily stressors you're exposed to, by midday, you might feel like you're completely wiped out. My wife has been there at some point, and the good news is, so to say, those issues, that fatigue and low energy levels, can usually be traced back to nutrient deficiencies, especially iron, B vitamins, and some other key minerals that the modern diet, or the modern standard American diet, I should say, often lack. And so by adding those nutrients back into your diet, those issues typically resolve themselves fairly quickly. The other very common and relatively easy to fix health concern are hormonal imbalances. PMS, painful periods, irregular cycles, mood swings. If any of that sounds familiar, it's also because our modern lifestyle, stress, the lack of critical nutrients such as zinc, vitamin A, aka retinol, and selenium, among others, they can significantly disrupt hormonal balance. And by adding them back into your diet, you can balance your hormones and you feel so much better. Iron deficiency anemia is another thing. And if you think about it, if you're still menstruating once a month, you lose a lot of blood, and with that blood you lose iron, and you need to replenish that through diet, by eating more red meat. And a lot of women, unfortunately, don't consume a lot of red meat and foods that contain heme iron. I'm not talking about spinach and kale and leafy greens that are poor sources of iron. Yes, they might have a lot of non-heme iron, but you cannot absorb that properly. You don't get enough you would have to eat, I don't know how many pounds of spinach a day to get enough iron, but if you did that, you'd have a whole lot of other issues, like oxalate overload and kidney stones and all of those things. So you don't want to do that. So you need enough iron, and if you don't get enough iron, you might suffer from, tiredness, again, low energy levels, pale skin, dizziness, brain fog, hair thinning. All of those things often go back to iron deficiency. And there are reproductive, health concerns, difficulty conceiving, irregular menstrual cycles, PCOS, all of those issues are on the rise, and diet plays a significant role, especially the lack of nutrient-rich foods, including organs. And so, again, the good news is our bodies are, or your body, your female body, is incredibly resilient, provided you give them the right nutritional building blocks. And historically speaking, organ meats were central to traditional diets, especially for women, precisely because they are so rich in these essential nutrients that are important for fertility, hormone production, and overall female health. The problem is today's diet, we've basically unlearned to like organ meat. If you ask the average person on the street, the average woman on the street, hey, do you like liver? Do you like kidney? Do you like, heart? Most people would say, no, I don't like the taste. I don't like the texture. I don't like how it smells. I don't like to prepare it. I don't even know where to source it, And so that is a problem because the rest of the food groups that we consume has also gone down in nutrient density because of poor soil quality and a host of other reasons we're not going to get into in this video. So because of all of that, my wife and I decided, why don't we come up with a whole food supplement. I'm not talking about synthetic crap that your body cannot absorb it and can tax your liver. No, I'm talking about a whole food supplement that's made with freeze-dried beef organs, reproductive organs, and some other organs as well, that deliver all of the benefits, all of the nutrients that women need to thrive. And we call it female vitality. It's a unique blend of organ meats, including uterus, ovaries, fallopian tube, kidney, and spleen. And if you're thinking, ooh, I'm not sure if I want to eat that, well, here is the thing. Humans have eaten those organs for millennia. They are integral part of our diet and physiology. We need those organs for optimal health. I'm convinced of that. But the good news is, again, because these are freeze-dried organs that come in gelatin capsules, they have no taste. They have barely any smell. I mean, they might smell a little bit like an herb, but nothing that you would like, I don't want to have that. No texture, no preparation, nothing. We gently freeze dry them and put them into powder and then into capsules, and you pop 5 capsules a day, and you get a lot of the nutrients that you're likely missing out from your diet, specifically from the reproductive organs. Those are rich sources of peptides and nutrients that directly support female hormonal health, fertility, and regular menstrual cycles. Kidneys have a lot of B vitamins and selenium for thyroid and hormonal balance, and that are also important for sustained energy levels. And then spleen is the best source of heme iron in nature. And by getting enough iron, you can get your iron levels up, your ferritin levels up, and that has a direct impact on your energy levels, on how fatigued you feel or not, and combating anemia at the end of the day. And the whole idea with consuming organs is, there is this like supports like principle. So if you want to support your liver, you consume liver, because guess what? All of the nutrients that your liver needs are found in the liver. So you basically feed your body, your liver, the micronutrients that it needs to operate optimally. And the same goes with the reproductive organs, with kidney, with spleen. A lot of those nutrients that those organs need, that ultimately influence your reproductive health, your energy levels, etc., you get from those organs. And so we put all of that into 5 capsules that you can consume with your first meal and get all of the nutrients that you need. And one of the things that's obviously important is that you get a high quality product. And so here at MK Supplements, we priority number 1 is quality. So our product is made from 100% grass-fed, grass-finished beef that's regeneratively raised. It's freeze-dried, gently freeze-dried to preserve the maximum amount of nutrients. The only thing better than freeze-dried beef organs is raw beef organs. And obviously, or fresh at least, gently cooked, because heat is the enemy of many of the heat-sensitive micronutrients in the product. So ideally, I'd love for everyone to consume fresh organs, but it's kind of a challenge to get reproductive organs, to be quite honest, and even liver sometimes can be a challenge, etc. So by gently freeze-drying them, we preserve as many of the nutrients as possible. It's free of any fillers and synthetic additives or artificial ingredients. It's the gelatin capsule, which again is from bovine sources. It's the organs, and that is it. And we package all of that in sustainable glass bottles with metal lids, so no microplastics, no endocrine disruptors in there at all. So here is the thing. If low energy, hormonal challenges, or reproductive health issues are disrupting your life, female vitality may be exactly what your body needs. Optimal health doesn't need to be complicated. Sometimes the simplest solution is restoring foundational nutrition, going back to how humans have eaten for a very long time by consuming animals nose to tail, and that includes the organ. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that you only need female vitality and the rest of your diet doesn't matter. Absolutely not. I highly recommend an animal-based diet that's centered around muscle meat and animal fat and connective tissue and collagen and all of the good stuff. But from a micronutrient perspective, if eating fresh organs isn't your cup of tea, by all means, freeze-dried beef organ supplements are your next best bet, and that's what we deliver with female vitality. So, you deserve to feel great every day. That's the normal state of human being, to wake up, feel energetic, maintain energy levels throughout the day, and just, feel good in your skin. It shouldn't feel like being healthy shouldn't be like a puzzle that you're constantly trying to solve, So let's simplify and thrive together. Eat a proper diet centered around animal foods, add beef organs into your routine, sleep well, and the rest will take care of itself. Now, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Let me know if you have any questions specifically about female reproductive health or how you can fix that. Let me know in the comments. Let me know if you have any questions about Female Vitality, our freeze-dried beef organ supplement. Check it out. Let me know how you like it. And with that, we're gonna wrap it up, and I hope I'll see you in the next video.